In this video, we are going to be creating a draft view and adding hatching to it. Draft views can be very helpful in Inventor drawings. They allow you to manually go in and draw geometry that's not actually referencing an actual part. So you can draw it in whatever way you need to. Doing it automatically can be even more helpful in the fact that you don't have to go and do it every time you make that drawing. You can have it set on your engineering rules to create cross sections and whatever that you need each time. So with that, we're going to look at the code of how to make a draft view and then also how to add hatching to that. So I'll go ahead and open up the hatching example. And here we're going to create a draft view, and we're going to start the way we start most of these rules, grabbing the drawing document, the transient geometry object for creating points, and the active sheet. Then we need to add a draft view. Now, when we add a draft view, well, first we're going to scale it to 1 and add a name. But one thing that happens when you make a draft view as opposed to any other view is it will automatically create a sketch and then we'll enter edit mode on that sketch. This can be a place where you can get confused in your code and have errors, because if you call a lot of different Inventor API calls inside of a sketch mode, it's not going to work. It's going to error out. So keep that in mind, that it will throw you into sketch mode immediately. So if you don't want that to happen, you have to call exit edit on the sketch right after. So speaking of that sketch, that's the first thing we're going to do, is we're going to grab the sketch object. We know it's the first because we just created the draft view here. We call it draft view 2. So we'll grab it by calling .sketches, item 1, grabbing the first one. Then we need to make 3 different points because we're going to add a 3-pointed triangle, and then we're going to hatch it. So we'll come in here and call on our sketch that we just created, sketch lines, and add as a 3-point triangle, pass in those 3 points. Now in draft views, you can do all different types of lines and arcs to create the geometry that you need to represent in your draft view. In this case, we're just going to add a rectangle in. So that's creating a draft view. You can really go real complex with that. Here, we're just going to keep it simple. Next step, what we're going to look at is creating hatching. So in order to hatch something, you need to create a profile. That's just kind of same with like extruding or revolving. You need to know what profile you're going to do it on. So here we grab our sketch, we grab our profiles, and we add for solid. Now it's easiest to create a profile if you just have 1 profile per sketch. You can do multiple profiles per sketch. It just makes it harder if you're doing things automatically. So I would suggest trying to keep it to 1 profile per sketch. So here we grab our profile to hatch. Now we have to define how we're going to hatch that. So we're going to make a DrawingHatchPattern variable. Do that by calling DrawingHatchPatternManager. We pass in this, and you can look up online all the different types of hatching in the documentation. So here's ANSI 37. And then once we have that, we're ready to hatch this thing. So we'll grab the sketch, grab sketch hatch regions, and we'll add to that. And we'll pass in the profile that we want to hatch. We'll pass in the pattern, and we're going to grab, I forget what they call this, like if it's a scale factor. Yeah, the scale of the pattern there. And then after that, we still need to exit the sketch so that we can do other things with it. So that is how you hatch. And I have another example here. So you can see kind of a different, here's ANSI 31. We're doing 4 different points. We're making 4 different sketch points. We're doing 4 different lines based on those sketch points. But once again, then we add for solid to get the profile here. We set up the the drawing hatch pattern, and then we actually call the line that adds the hatch patterns. And then we, important, exit that sketch. So we'll go ahead and run it. You'll see we get the two different rectangles with the two different hatching patterns there. So that is how, an example of how you could use draft views and hatching.
Hey everyone, if you're finding value in this course, I'd encourage you to join KETIV Virtual Academy. It's where we bring together a growing community of engineers, nearly 40,000 strong, to share ideas, tools, best practices. Please join us at ketiv.com/kva. Enjoy the rest of this video.